So Jamie is from Bauer, which is so exciting. We got Bauer back. Yay. Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. It's snowing a little bit. I'm in Norwich today, but otherwise, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
The snow. I mean, we've gone back in time to Christmas. I'm very confused about what time of year it is. I thought we were approaching spring. Um, yes, it is so lovely to have you here. We're very excited to see what your job is all about, and also I guess what goes on in the wider bit of Bauer and how you fit into that world. So do you want to start by just telling us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about Bauer?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm Jamie, and I'm currently a digital designer working at Bauer Media, which is actually the largest privately owned media company in Europe. And those that don't have a clue who Bauer Media are, we own a lot of radio stations, magazines, websites, and social channels as well. And you may or may not know a few of them. So Grazia and Empire probably are two biggest magazines. And then we also have radio stations in terms of Magic Radio, Kiss FM, and Greatest Hits is probably one of our biggest ones, depending on where you are in the UK as well. And what I do on a daily basis is I design advertising and marketing campaigns for some of the UK's biggest brands. So some of the ones I've worked on quite recently are KFC, Universal Pictures, Disney Plus, and Tesco Mobile, just to name a few. And these marketing and advertising campaigns basically help support our radio and podcast business through promotions and sponsorships, which effectively means they give us money to speak about their products and enable us to run kind of competitions and shout about them on the radio and our social platforms as well. And kind of what I really, really enjoy about it and why I love working in the creative industry is just the variety of work, kind of the brands and the clients you get to work with as well. You know, sometimes I'm working on campaigns for the latest film and TV releases. Sometimes it's for a high-end fashion retailer, and then sometimes on the next launch of a new PS5 game, for instance. So it's really varied, interesting industry as well.
Oh my God, absolutely. I must confess, Jamie, this is a world that I didn't really I didn't have a clue about the landscape. So I'm definitely learning a lot of stuff from this. So digital designer. So you've explained that, you know, it is kind of working on campaigns for the clients who give you money to be able to speak about their products. Where is the output? Like, where does your work get shown? It's on social media, is that right? On website?
Yeah, so it's all on our websites as well as kind of social media stuff. So we do a lot of sponsored content. So we kind of partner with these brands to say, you know, this is Disney Plus have the new Mandalorian stuff coming out, which is one I worked on recently. And we just kind of talk about it in a really exciting, engaging way. And we involve our kind of audio part of the business as well. So we have a lot of talent and presenters that can kind of speak about that on air. They can talk about it really authentically on their social media channels as well. So it's kind of, you know, not your traditional kind of always advertising, you know, this is great, this is how this product is. It's kind of really in trying to incorporate it into our content. I suppose a little bit like you would do get in your, you know, your influencers on, you know, your YouTube and Instagram as well. So that's kind of like how it kind of crosses over the radio into the commercial world.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I love that reference to exactly how influencers do it. That does make sense. Okay, so did you know that your job is something when you were at school, when you were 16, did you have a clue that your job existed?
Probably like a really vague idea, but you know, a lot of jobs when you're kind of that age, and I'm sure a lot of the audience is feeling that way. You probably don't know what steps to take or the confident enough route to kind of get a foot in the door, for instance. So when I left school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. You know, I imagine there's a lot of people that have been speaking this week say a similar sort of thing. And I think I wanted to be a camera operator or a video editor, something like that, something that was probably just kind of behind the scenes and not being out in the world speaking to many people, to be honest. But one thing I did know is that I wanted it to be quite a vocational one, just because I wasn't like the most academic. I did, you know, I got okay grades and stuff like that. I think, but fundamentally, I just really enjoyed making things, and we didn't have the luxury of kind of smartphones then. So I kind of did it on my home computer, whether it was editing videos of, you know, stupid videos of me and my friends, messing around with audio recordings, creating graphics for websites. You know, I started picking up enough kind of technical knowledge and software knowledge to start thinking that I could kind of do this for an actual job. And kind of in school, I had a really vague interest in media and kind of studied media studies. at GCSE levels, and then kind of enrolled into a local college that was media and moving image. It was kind of just modules kind of appealed to me. You know, there's subjects on video and TV editing, interactive media, there's also audio production as well. And because my interest was so broad to begin with, I think it kind of gave me the chance to really explore loads of different options, and it enabled me to pick up different skills along the way. And it kind of, I suppose, that keeping it that broad just kept me curious, and kept me always thinking about, oh, actually, what do I really, really want to get into, like as a career as such.
That's so interesting, because we have actually heard that from a couple of speakers. Like, they went in so broad, kind of vaguely knowing the direction, but then it's just been a refining process from them then on. You know, you pick up things that you like from certain jobs, you know, the things that you don't like, and you just start kind of, I guess, kind of moving towards the stuff that you like a bit more over time.
Definitely.
So what are the skills that you actually use? Like, what do you do, I guess, kind of as a kind of actual what does it look like
Day to day? So yeah, it's kind of creating assets that appear on social media. So there's a lot of kind of graphic design, there's a lot of audio kind of production as well. Like, obviously that's a big part of our business, so you know, making sure audio tracks work really well with the content that we put on the radio, not just the radio, but on social. And then I kind of like build landing pages, which is what we call kind of website pages for people to go to as well. But I suppose they're kind of more of the kind of hard skills, you know, the stuff that you can kind of learn yourself. You kind of go to, you know, university, college, and you can do in your spare time. But kind of, you know, there's so many more soft skills that you kind of do on a day-to-day basis, you know, create brainstorming, kind of speaking to different project managers about stuff, kind of juggling numerous things as well. So it's, you know, you have to be kind of really, really creative, but you have to be really organized at the same time. And especially like now where we're working from home quite more often than not, you know, you have to just be so more disciplined, you know, to kind of get stuff done. Yes, that does kind of work in a to your advantage sometimes, because you can get so much done at home, but then you have the real opportunity to collaborate and see colleagues when you go in and really make the most of that. So yeah, it's a mixture of kind of idea generation as well as kind of producing and kind of doing and designing, which is, like I said earlier, why I really enjoy kind of the industry and the job.
That's so interesting to hear. So like back to the hard skills, because I know that, like you said, lots of young people watching will be like, oh, those are things that I can actually kind of teach myself, almost like with YouTube and things like that. You've got a lot of graphic design, you've got a lot of audio design, you've got these, you know, or editing, like these things. These are actual skills that students can go away and like start building now if they're interested in exploring that, aren't they?
Definitely. And I'm super envious that that people can just learn stuff on YouTube like now so quickly. It was it was coming to that stage kind of when I was graduating a little bit. You know, there's so many more resources. But now, you know, and I'd actively encourage everyone to do that. And a lot of the time, you know, on a day-to-day basis, I can't quite remember how I did something, you know, from a technical point of view, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. But I just know that, oh, I can just look at it again on kind of YouTube, and having that kind of that mentality just to be able to learn stuff when you need to is a really kind of good skill to have as well, because you'll never remember how you do everything, you know. Especially when you have a very long career, you won't quite remember how you do stuff. But just knowing that you've done it before, I think, works in your favor, because you'd be like, oh, I know I can do it. I just need to revise. I need to revisit that and see some old projects to figure out exactly how it's done. Yeah, there's kind of a bit of a formula to it like that.
Yeah, and also like technology evolves in these kind of areas all the time. So you actually, you know, like new versions of the programs that you use get released with new features. So like you kind of continuously need to be learning anyway, even if you did go to uni and you have that kind of like base knowledge or whatever already. Like that is something that you absolutely, I'm sure you need to continuously learn all the time.
Definitely, yeah. Digital is like an ever-changing landscape, and that's one of the things. You know, you can always go back to a technique that you used a little while ago that kind of works, but it's so important to keep up to date with industry standards. You know, best practice. Look for inspiration all the time as well, and you can kind of. I won't use the word steal ideas. I like the term uses inspiration to kind of develop your own kind of styles and things like that. And it's kind of just about staying curious and And I think that comes so much easier when you have a real genuine interest in the industry as well. If you absolutely love it, it comes just naturally. You know, it's design, you know, radio, media is all consuming a lot of the time. So if you've got a real passion for it, it will come a little bit easier. But sometimes you just need to like work a little bit harder at kind of absorbing yourself in more to kind of stay excited and inspired at the same time.
I love that. Okay, and if you were talking to little Jamie, if you were talking to 16-year-old Jamie, um, and you were looking, I guess, ahead at or revisiting some of the things that you've done in the past, your career journey, what are the things that you would double down on, and what are the things that you would, I guess, kind of try and avoid or do differently?
Yeah, I think, you know, all I'd probably say is, you know, I know, you know, if you wanted to pursue a creative career, whether it's in radio, audio design, is to kind of, you know, just absolutely go for it and probably commit to it more than you already are as well. Kind of that would be my advice to anybody. You know, even if you have a real loose interest at this stage, there's always time to work it out. It's very diverse, it's very inclusive, you know, and a big part of the day-to-day, like I mentioned, is kind of creative brainstorming and coming up with creative ideas. So we really do actively encourage diversity. We need people from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different cultures to bring all different ideas and considerations to the table as well. So you know, don't let that put you off. No matter where you come from, definitely kind of go for it. And another kind of piece of advice I'd probably give to myself is, you know, regardless of whether you're at school, at college, university, or in an actual job already, kind of just take any and every opportunity to work on a creative project or a brief. You know, whether it's a, I don't know, a photography exhibition, if you've got a little bit of curiosity of that, whether it's producing a video, working on a podcast, designing a leaflet for your local chip shop, for instance, you know, if you say yes to more opportunities now than not, you'll gradually gain much more experience, and you'll get closer to kind of where you want to be. And, you know, you might even get to earn a few quid along the way if you're kind of brave enough to ask about it as well. Because kind of what it all boils down to, and another kind of golden tip, is you just always want to think about your portfolio. You know, whether you eventually go for jobs, or even if you decide to go freelance and not to get a job within a company as such, your portfolio will be your, you know, shop window, and it should only show your very best work. You know, if you decide to when you decide to get a job or apply for kind of to university, a big part of your job application will be your portfolio. So you should always kind of just bear this in mind. And again, you know, any creative role, you need to keep adding relevant work to your portfolio. And, you know, I really can't stress enough, like, you know, another piece of advice would be, you know, it doesn't matter at this stage if you don't have a concrete idea on what you want to do. I'm really envious at people that do. And if you do have a clear idea, you know, absolutely go for it. But if you are unsure at all, you know, maybe it's beneficial to keep your options open. And don't worry about failing, or like just caring what other people think you're doing as well. Just try and go for it. Yes, it is easier said than done in those instances. And at the same time, if you're not very good at it, but you've got an interest in it, just keep trying. Whatever it is, you can always get better. And if you feel there's something you want to get into, or it sparks your interest, yeah, kind of go for it as well. Also, another big part of continuing education, which is I think kind of why I stayed in university, it just gives you a bit longer to figure it out as well, you know, and just gives you a bit more time before you finally have to get a job. So there's nothing wrong with that as well, to kind of just delay things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no sense of urgency going on here. Absolutely. And yes, it's a refining process over time. You do not need to have it all worked out now. 90% of people who have a really clear idea, or think they know what they're going to do when they leave school, won't end up doing anything around what they have in their heads right now. So I love that advice. Just kind of roll with the punches. Keep going, guys. You'll be fine. Jamie, it has been fantastic having you here. Thank you so much for joining us. I know there are lots of young people out there who will not have had a clue that your job exists and will be super inspired by your journey and what you do. I certainly am. So thank you so much.
No worries. Nice to speak to you, and best of luck, everybody.